Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my performance review of the Nike Zoom GT Cut 2.0. So as far as the pricing goes, we're not 100% sure what the price is because it's not available on Nike.com here in the US yet. But the first Zoom GT Cut was 170 bucks, so it'll probably be around 170, maybe. I feel like they'll raise the price by 10 bucks, right? So I think it might be 180 bucks, which is super expensive. But yeah, this is the second iteration of the very sought after Zoom GT Cut. I mean, you could never get the shoe. They would release it and it would be on Nike for like half a day and every size would sell out. So very sad. Hopefully they'll make more colorways and it'll be more readily available to us. But here is my performance review, and let's get it started off with the Tracciones. And here in this color, we got three colors on the outsole. We got blue, it's like a red orange color, and then like a yellow but more like gum. It's kind of a interesting color pattern, right? But they're calling this the Smear Traction 1.0. It says right there, Smear Traction. That's a weird name. I don't really like smear, like you smear stuff. I don't know, but it's a super aggressive pattern, right? And at first I did need to break it in, right? When I first got it and I started playing it in like the first day or two, it wasn't great, you know? There was a nice little squeak to it. It wasn't like terrible, or it wasn't bad, but just wasn't a great bite, right? But I kept playing it and I broke it in and definitely got a lot better. I wouldn't say it's top tier though. If you compare it to like, you know, the Curry 9, the PG6, the Harden Volume 6, I don't know, the Zoom, like all these shoes have great traction. It's not on par with those, but it still has a pretty good bite. I would also say it's a little inconsistent, right? So if I was just playing around a little bit and not going too hard, I had pretty good traction, right? It was great actually. But once I started to go pretty damn hard and I was doing like really hard stops, I would slip out just a tiny bit. You know, it definitely wasn't dangerous or anything, but I would slide out a little bit and I would lose my step just a tiny bit and lose a little bit of time, and lose a little bit of responsiveness as well. And it wasn't every time that I did a really hard stop, it was just sometimes, you know, like I said. So it's a little bit inconsistent on hard stops, so do be careful on that. But it's actually really good traction on dust, right? It doesn't really pick up dust all too much, and if it did pick up dust, it's a super easy wipe. You know, I really didn't have a whole lot of issues on dust, so dust performance was really good. And for durability, I mean, this red part where the herringbone is, right, and it's, you know, here in the forefoot, this is where the highway area is. The grooves are thick, guys, super duper thick. I've never seen grooves as thick as this, and I guess the rubber is pretty damn hard, so I feel like durability should be good here in the forefoot. Here in the heel, it does worry me a little bit. You know, we have these arrows. I mean, the grooves I guess seem pretty thick, but I mean, look at the nubs here. These nubs are super soft and very small. The arrows do get bigger here in the back of the heel where it's more of a highway area, but it still seems a little bit soft, right? So be careful here on the heel. But overall, the traction was pretty good. I just didn't like the inconsistency on hard stops, but you know, like I said, it wasn't a terrible slide out or anything. So overall, I had a great time because of the traction. All right, moving on to the heel to toe transition, also very smooth, right? Because of the full length Zoom strobe unit, it feels very, very bouncy. You can feel it pretty much right underneath your foot. And then we have a nice curved shape and a pretty exposed foam, right? It's a pretty stiff foam though, honestly. It's not that soft, right? But you know, it gives a nice rocking motion in the heel, and then here in the forefoot, nice rocking motion, and we have very, very good forefoot flex, which I like. But torsion support was good too. You know, midfoot doesn't really bend all too much, it's more like in the forefoot. So overall, heel to toe transition, when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court, it was very, very smooth and super bouncy. And segueing into cushioning setup, super crazy. And I honestly, it was all right. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so first of all, if you look at the actual drop-in midsole, right? So they're using a full-length drop-in midsole and it's React. And if you look on top of the React, however, it has like this material right here, right? And it obviously, to put this material on the React, they had to glue it. And like comparing it to the first Zoom GT Cut, which had great step and comfort, you know, it was just foam. It didn't have this like kind of lining material. You can feel the React underneath the foot a little bit better, which in my opinion felt better on my foot. Because of this, I mean, you also don't have as much grip either. You know, in the first Zoom GT Cut, you had really good grip because of the React. I mean, just grip your foot and sock and just held it in place, right? This one, not as much, and the step and comfort didn't feel as good. Of course, I'm not saying it's bad though. It's still really, really good because it is a drop-in, right? And your foot's still pretty much right on top of the React, but because of the glue, it's a little bit stiffer than the original one. There also is a, you know, bottom-loaded zoom unit. It's a hexagonal zoom unit, but you can definitely feel that in the heel. And then of course, right underneath that, we have the full-length zoom strobel unit. But something about, you know, this shoe, the core feel is really bad. Like I was playing in the Zoom GT Cut, and that has pretty good core feel. You know, of course, it's not as good as like shoes that have really, really good core feel, like the 2A2 or the Hardens. But the original Zoom GT Cut had pretty good core feel. I really didn't mind it in that shoe. But when I put this shoe on, I feel really high up off the ground. And there's a lot of compression. It's super bouncy, which I do like, but honestly, it's a little too crazy for me sometimes, right? I don't know what it is, but honestly, it was a little too much for me at times, right? If you want a lot of cushion, like a crazy amount of cushion with crazy bounce, good step and comfort, a lot of compression, then this is a really, really good option. But if you want something a little bit more responsive, or if you want something low to the ground, then this definitely is not a great option. Like a good medium, for me personally, is like the WOW 10, or the PE6 also is really good. The Harden Volume 6, you know, something that's low to the ground, you get a little bit of compression, but it's more responsive, right? Of course, that's just my preference, but yeah, I mean, like I said, if you want something insane, this is a great option. Like impact protection is off the charts, bounce is off the charts, but also core feel is off the charts. And I feel like I felt really high up off the ground, almost on the level of like LeBron's. I mean, LeBron's are really high up, so I don't know how that compares, but I felt really high up off the ground, right? So, I mean, honestly, I know people that don't care about core feel, but if you do care about core feel, then this definitely is not, this shoe is not it, right? So there is the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the materials. Also, the materials are a little bit of a downgrade from the first shoe, right? So we have screen mesh, and screen mesh definitely isn't the best for quality. But I guess the good thing though is that it's super thin and also very supportive. There's zero stretch to it, so I mean, you can't really complain on foot, but the quality definitely is not good. Also here around the tip of the toe, or I guess like the toe box, we have a little bit more like material for better durability and support, which is of course a good thing. For the tongue, we have an average amount of padding, and one thing that I don't like about this tongue is it's an independent tongue, right? Like, so two things about the tongue is that it folds in on itself, right? I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a good gap between the tongue and like this part right here, right? So like it would fold in on itself, and also I could see my socks sometimes even when I put the shoe on. I wish this tongue was like a little bit wider, right? But also it does not stay in place. Like when I was playing, the tongue was moving around left to right, which was pretty annoying. I constantly had to fix that. So I mean, of course, it doesn't really, you know, affect the performance that much, but it was just something that I noticed when I was playing, which I thought was a little bit annoying. And then here in the ankle area, we have like an average amount of padding. There's a good amount of padding here in the Achilles, but like here on the sides, it's more like minimal. So overall, it feels very minimal and super lightweight, which offsets the entire shoe as far as like the weight distribution goes, right? So segueing into weight, this shoe is it's not super heavy, it's not super light, but the weight distribution is a little bit weird, right? So the weight is 12.5 ounces. Let's check the other pair. 12.49 ounces, right? So yeah, it's average weight. But like I said, this material is super thin. It feels very minimal. There's not a whole lot of padding or anything, so it feels very minimal on top of the foot. But then on the bottom, where all of this, you know, there's foam, and like I said, like with the React and the Zoom Strobel, you feel high up off the ground. And also the smear traction, right? The smear traction is super deep, right? It's a very deep, and it just seems super thick as far as the outsole goes. So a lot of the weight is on the bottom of the foot, which I don't like. That's just something that I noticed as well. Like if I was switching from like the PG6 or the WOW 10, where it's a lot more like equal in weight distribution, it just felt a lot better to me personally, right? So the Zoom GT Cut 2.0, not a huge fan of that. Even the first shoe, the Zoom GT Cut, did not have this crazy uneven weight distribution. So that definitely felt a little weird. As far as responsiveness goes, it was pretty responsive. You know, there's a lot of compression in the cushion, so didn't feel super responsive, or it didn't feel as responsive as I would like, but definitely not super laggy. And then the traction also overall was good, but it was sliding around a little bit when I was doing hard stops. So wasn't the most responsive shoe, but you know, I could definitely work with it, and I felt pretty good when I was, you know, playing it, right? All right, moving on to the fit. I went true to size, and it's a really snug fit. It's so damn snug that my right foot got needles. I don't know why my left foot was okay, but my right foot, I definitely felt needles pretty much every single time I played in the shoe, right? So I guess this screen mesh doesn't really stretch out all too much. You know, the fit doesn't really get roomier here in the toe box. So yeah, it's a really snug fit here in the toe box. It's pretty damn narrow. And yeah, lengthwise I was good though. You know, I was pretty damn good lengthwise. My toes go pretty much right to the edge of the shoe. But it's just like the overall like width, and also like the material feeling really snug on top of my toes. That's why I felt like I was getting needles. So yeah, I mean, honestly though, if I went up half a size, I wouldn't like it because the length, right? So true to size, I feel like was pretty good for me. But you know, if you have a wide foot or you don't want to deal with that, probably go up half a size. All right, moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, I was good to go, right? So if you look at the actual drop-in, there is a sidewall, which is an advantage of drop-in midsoles, right? That's why I really like drop-in midsoles. They just extend that midsole up, you know, so you have great lateral containment. You have a lateral sidewall, and also this material is super supportive, right? And then here in the heel, I think they did a little too much, honestly, right? You have this freaking suede, you have all this plastic, which looks like that, you know, that character from Toy Story, you know, that Buzz Lightyear's arch nemesis or whatever, right? Especially in this color with the purple and red, or the blue and red. But yeah, I mean, lateral containment, I was good to go. Even if you're a bigger dude and you're doing very shifty moves, you'll be fine here in the Zoom GT Cut 2.0. Lateral stability was also pretty damn good, right? So as you guys see, there's not a crazy outrigger, but the midsole does protrude out a good amount. So I had zero issues with lateral instability. Also, my foot felt very locked down into the shoe, right? There was no heel slippage. My heel felt locked down and all that. So yeah, support and lockdown was very good. All right, moving on to the ventilation, very good as well. Airflow is really good through this screen mesh, and it's a very thin material, so it doesn't keep in heat. So overall ventilation was very good here in Zoom GT Cut 2.0. All right, moving on to the aesthetics. I mean, I like it. I definitely don't think it looks as good as the first one, but this actually looks pretty good. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, it's definitely a good performer, but it wasn't my favorite, right? And I don't think I'm gonna play in this shoe all too much. The traction definitely is not top tier, which sucks. I wish the traction was a little bit better, but like I said, it wasn't terrible. I can definitely deal with it. Cushion also, I was very disappointed in because of the cord feel. It was really bad. And that's one thing that I don't want in my shoes. You know, for me personally, I want to feel low to the ground, so I didn't like that all too much either. So because of those reasons, I didn't really enjoy playing the Zoom GT Cut 2.0 as much as I thought I would. I still did enjoy playing it, don't get me wrong, it's still a great performer, but I thought I was gonna enjoy it a little bit more, right? So who should play in this shoe? I don't know, guys, because you know, usually guards, you know, if you're looking for a responsive shoe, this definitely isn't like the best option because of the traction. Like on hard stops, not the best option. A cushion has a lot of compression and all that as well. And also guards usually want cushion that's low to the ground, right? Like a lot of guards that I talk to, that's what they say. And also like the weight distribution, I didn't really like either. So I mean, I guess bigger dudes, I mean, if you're a center or you're a big guy, you should be fine. It has a lot of support and a lot of cushion, so you should be fine with that. But guards, probably not the best option, right? But anyways, that about concludes my review of the Nike Zoom GT Cut 2.0. If you guys do want to cop, I try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.